The story begins with a police interview. The detective's voice was matter-of-fact as he spoke. Interview with Sarah Chin, December 15, 2023. Detective Morrison conducting. Miss Chin, for the record, you were employed at the Ashford residence for how long? Sarah's voice came out in a broken whisper. 4 days. Only 4 days. Detective Morrison continued carefully. And you claimed there were 8 other women in the walls? Sarah's voice grew stronger, defiant. I don't claim anything. Check your missing persons files. Margaret Hoffman, 1987. Susan Park, 1993. Jennifer Liu, 2001. Should I continue? Chapter 1. The Interview. The Ashford mansion smelled like money and mothballs. Sarah sat on leather that cost more than her car, watching rain streak down windows tall as trees. Her fingernails dug half-moons into her palms. 23 other nannies had interviewed before her. Mrs. Ashford made sure she knew that. Mrs. Ashford's voice carried grit as she said, but their references were inadequate. She said it like she was discussing spoiled milk. Mr. Ashford hadn't looked up from his phone once. His thumb scrolled and scrolled. But Sarah noticed his screen was black. His thumb moved over nothing, a mechanical tick like a broken toy. Mrs. Ashford leaned forward and asked slowly, Tell me, Sarah, what would you do if Emma had an episode? Not tantrum. Not fit. An actual episode. Sarah responded in a normal pace. I'd remain calm. Assess the situation. Ensure her safety first. Mr. Ashford interrupted in a whisper, She bites. Mr. Ashford finally looked up. His eyes were the color of old ice. The scrolling stopped. His thumb twitched against the dead screen. His voice was cold and mechanical as he continued, When she has her episodes, she bites. Drew blood from the last girl. Had to get rabies shots. Mrs. Ashford's smile flickered, just for a second, like a TV with bad reception. Sarah needed this job. Her mother's chemo bills were drowning them. The bank had already sent 2 notices. Pink paper. Black ink. Final warning. Sarah said with nervous energy, I can handle difficult children. My references. Mrs. Ashford cut her off with aristocratic dismissiveness. Your references are irrelevant. Can you follow rules? Mrs. Ashford leaned forward. Her perfume was too sweet. Rotting flowers. And underneath, formaldehyde. Like a funeral home. Mrs. Ashford spoke slowly and deliberately. 3 rules. Simple rules. No visitors. Ever. No questions about Emma's imagination. And the 3rd floor is off limits. Completely. Especially room 3. She slid a manila envelope across the coffee table. It was thick. Bulging. The paper was damp with something that wasn't rain. Dark stains on the corners like rust. Or old blood. Mrs. Ashford continued, 6 months' salary. In advance. $30,000. Cash. Sarah could smell the money through the envelope. And something else. Bleach. Like they'd had to clean it. Multiple times. Sarah asked in a normal voice, When would I start? Tonight. That's when Sarah saw her. Emma. Standing in the doorway like she'd been there all along. 6 years old. Blonde ringlets. Perfect pink dress. She was holding a teddy bear by its neck. Mr. Whiskers. One eye missing. Stuffing leaked from its throat like white blood. Emma's voice was flat as she asked, Are you the new one? Mrs. Ashford's smile tightened. Her lipstick cracked at the corners. Mrs. Ashford said, Emma, darling. This is Sarah. She's going to be your new friend. Emma tilted her head. Studied Sarah like she was a bug pinned to cork. Her shadow on the wall was wrong, too tall, too angular. Emma stated matter-of-factly, The last one screamed. For 3 days. Chapter 2, First Night. Sarah's room was bigger than her apartment. 4-poster bed. Silk sheets. An armoire that could hide bodies. The wallpaper had a pattern, roses and thorns. In the lamplight, the thorns seemed to writhe. Mrs. Ashford laid out Sarah's uniform. Blue dress. White apron. Like something from the 1950s. The fabric was stiff, starched, or stained. Mrs. Ashford said in an aristocratic tone, "It's tradition. All our nannies wear it." She smoothed the fabric. Her nails were too long, too sharp. They left tiny tears in the cotton. Mrs. Ashford whispered, "Emma responds better to consistency. The uniform helps her remember which one you are." Which one? Not who. After she left, Sarah unpacked 3 suitcases, her whole life. The photo of her mother went on the nightstand. Before the chemo. She still had her hair. Still had her smile. Sarah had taken it the day before her diagnosis. The last good day. Emma stood in the hallway. Mr. Whiskers dangled from her fist, his remaining eye reflecting the hall light. In the other hand she held a glass of milk. The glass was chipped, with initials etched in the side, R.S. Emma said sweetly, "I brought you something. To help you sleep. Forever." She said forever, like other children say good night. The milk was warm. Too warm. And there were specks floating in it. Dark specks, moving specks. Sarah replied, "That's very kind, Emma. But I'm not thirsty." Emma's smile didn't reach her eyes. In the dim light, her pupils looked square. Emma insisted, "You have to drink it. Everyone drinks it the first night. It's the rule." Sarah took the glass. Pretended to sip. The smell hit her. Bitter almonds. Her chemistry teacher's voice echoed from high school, "Cyanide smells like bitter almonds." But there was something else. Something organic. Rotting. Sarah whispered, "Delicious." Emma said with disappointment, "You didn't really drink it." "I can tell. The lady in room 3 can tell too." She turned and walked away. At the end of the hall she stopped. The shadows seemed to reach for her, welcoming her back. Emma said casually, "The lady in room 3 doesn't like liars. She puts liars in the special place. Where Rebecca is. Where they all are." Sarah poured the milk down the sink. Watched it swirl away. The specks clung to the porcelain. Moving, writhing, not specks, flies, dead flies, and something else. A human fingernail clippings. That night, Sarah slept with a chair against her door, and dreamed of scratching. Always scratching. Chapter 3, The Drawings. 3 days passed. Almost normal. Emma barely spoke. Ate her meals in silence. Did her lessons. But she watched Sarah. Always watching. Those blue eyes tracking Sarah's every move like security cameras. And she drew. Constantly. The scratch of crayons on paper followed Sarah through the house. Thursday night, Sarah made a mistake. She took a shower. 20 minutes. Maybe 30. The hot water felt like forgiveness, washing away the smell of this house. Lemon polish. Old wood. And underneath it all, something sweet and rotten. Like fruit left in the sun. Like meat forgotten in a warm place. When Sarah came back, her bed wasn't empty. Papers. Everywhere. Scattered like snow. Like evidence. Sarah picked one up. Crayon on construction paper. A woman. Dark hair like Sarah's. Blue dress like Sarah's. Standing in a room Sarah recognized, her room. But where her eyes should have been. Black X's. Violent. Gouged through the paper. The crayon applied so hard it tore through to the mattress. Sarah counted them. 47 drawings. All the same woman. All the same X's. But the backgrounds? Different rooms. Rooms Sarah had never seen. A basement. An attic. Places that shouldn't exist in this house. And in the corner of every single one, written in red crayon, "She looks like you." But in drawing number 33 there was more. "She looked like you when she stopped moving." Emma's voice came from behind Sarah. "Do you like them?" "I drew them from memory." Sarah spun around. Emma stood in Sarah's closet. How long had she been there? Watching Sarah shower? Waiting? Sarah's clothes hung around her like curtains. She tied ribbons to the hangers. Red ribbons. Still wet. Sarah said, "Emma, you can't be in here. This is private." Emma interrupted proudly, "I drew them for you. The lady in room 3 showed me how. She remembers all their faces. Every single one." Sarah knelt down. Eye level. Tried to keep her voice steady. The ribbons dripped. Not water. Something thicker. Sarah asked, "Who is the lady in room 3? Emma's smile was too wide. Too many teeth. Were children supposed to have that many teeth? Emma whispered, "She used to be the nanny. The first nanny. Before Rebecca. Before Claire. Before all of them. She was Daddy's favorite until she got too loud." Sarah asked in a normal voice, "How many nannies have you had, Emma?" She started counting on her fingers. Ran out. Started on her toes. Then used Mr. Whisker's paws. Emma stated matter-of-factly, 23. "But Daddy says you'll last longer. You're special. You have the right face." Sarah asked with grit, "Why am I special?" Emma giggled and said, "Because you look just like her. Like the first one. The one who wouldn't stop screaming. The one who's still screaming if you know how to listen." She pressed her ear to the wall. Smiled. Emma continued, "Can you hear her? She's saying your name." Chapter 4. The Key. Sarah couldn't sleep. The drawings were hidden under her mattress, but she felt them there. Pulsing. Like a heartbeat. Like evidence of a crime that hadn't happened yet. 3 a.m. The grandfather clock in the hall chimed. Bronze and mahogany. Probably worth more than a car. The pendulum swung. Hypnotic. Back, forth, back, forth. But the reflection in the glass. Sometimes the pendulum swung left when the reflection swung right. Something glinted behind the glass. Something that shouldn't be there. Sarah opened the case. The smell of old oil and brass. And fear sweat. Old fear sweat. Behind the weights taped to the wood. A key. Old. Brass. Heavy. With a note. Red crayon. For Sarah. From the others. Not Emma's handwriting. Too many different styles. Like multiple people had written one letter each. Sarah's hands shook as she took it. The metal was cold. Too cold. Like it had been in a freezer. Or held by dead hands. There were scratches on it. Deliberate scratches. Initials, MH, SP, JL, CM, RS. Someone was walking on the 3rd floor. Slow. Deliberate. Dragging something. The ceiling creaked. Dust fell. In the dust, Sarah saw footprints. Small. Child-sized. But the stride was too long. Like something pretending to be small. The rules. No 3rd floor. Especially room 3. But the footsteps continued. And then. Fingernails on wood. Desperate. Frantic. And underneath it, humming. A lullaby. The same tune as Emma's music box, but wrong. In a minor key. In multiple voices. Sarah climbed the stairs. Each step was a betrayal. The carpet runner muffled her footsteps, but her heart was so loud she was sure the whole house could hear it. The wallpaper changed as she climbed. Roses became faces. Thorns became reaching hands. The 3rd floor hallway stretched into darkness. Doors on both sides. All closed. All identical. Except one. Room 3. The carpet ended 3 feet from the door. Just stopped. Like something had burned it away. The exposed wood was stained. Dark patches that had soaked deep into the grain. In the shape of bodies. Crawling bodies. The scratches in the wood spelled out words. Help, please, can't breathe, still alive. Sarah pressed her ear to the door. Cold. So cold it burned. Left frost on her skin. Silence. Then. Wet. Labored. Human. But multiple sources. Like a choir of asthmatics. All breathing in unison. All waiting. Someone was in there. Someone was alive in there. Multiple someones. And they knew Sarah was listening. Chapter 5. Room 3. The key slid in like it belonged there. Like it had been waiting. Like it had been cut from the lock itself. Sarah turned it. The click was too loud. A gunshot in the silence. The door swung inward. No creak. No sound. Hinges that should have screamed were silent as surgery. Like they'd been oiled. Daily. For years. Sarah's phone flashlight cut through the dark. The room was empty. No furniture. No windows. Just walls. And photographs. Floor to ceiling. Hundreds of them. Polaroids. All women. All brunettes. All wearing the same blue uniform Sarah wore now. Some photos were old, edges yellowed. Some were new. So new the chemicals still smelled fresh. Their faces destroyed. Scratched out with keys. With knives. With fingernails. Some looked burned. Some looked chewed. But in the corner of each photo, untouched, were their eyes. Still watching. Still pleading. Under each photo, a name and date. Margaret H. 1987, missing person hashtag 87-451 Susan P. 1993, last seen at bus station Jennifer L. 2001, daughter still searching Claire M. 2019, police case closed Rebecca S. 3 weeks ago, family thinks she ran away. Sarah recognized some faces. From milk cartons. From news reports. From posters stapled to telephone poles that fade in the rain but never quite disappear. Rebecca's photo was different. She was crying. Mascara running. Hands raised like she was pushing someone away. And behind her, in the shadows, something small, child-sized, reaching up from the floorboards. Too many fingers. Too many joints. Unknown number. Sarah's thumb moved on its own. Answered. Through the static came a mechanical voice. Multiple voices overlapping. Check the basement freezer. Check the walls. Check the attic. We're still here. Still waiting. Still. The line went dead. Sarah looked at her phone. No signal. The bars were gone. Replaced by a symbol she'd never seen. Like an eye. Watching. Blinking in Morse code. SOS. The call log showed 47 missed calls. All from inside the house. All from this room. All from the last hour. While Sarah had been standing here. But there was no phone here. Just a wire. Cut. Dangling from the wall like a severed vein. The end was wet. Fresh blood. A voice spoke. Emma's voice, but different, older and multiplied. You weren't supposed to find her until Thursday. Now the schedule's all wrong. Emma stood in the doorway. But wrong? All wrong. Her shadow too tall. Her posture too straight. Something ancient wearing a child's skin. Behind her in the hallway more shadows. All child-sized. All wrong. Sarah started. Emma, Emma's voice became angry, echoing. Now we have to start over. Daddy's going to be so mad. The house is going to be so hungry. Chapter 6. The Basement. Darkness. Complete. Suffocating. But not empty. Sarah could feel them. All of them. The women in the photographs. Pressing against the walls from the inside. Sarah pressed against the wall. Photos crinkled under her palms. Dead women watching with scratched out eyes. Some of the photos were warm. Body temperature. Emma's breathing was wet. Wrong. Like something was stuck in her throat. Like she was drowning in air. Emma said calmly, patiently, the lady says you have to go to the basement now. To see Rebecca. To see what happens to the special ones. Sarah said quickly, I'm leaving. Right now. I'm leaving. Emma replied with amusement. The doors won't open. The windows won't break. The phones won't work. You signed the contract, Sarah. In blood. Everyone signs in blood, even if they don't remember. She was right. The paper cut when Sarah had grabbed the envelope. The sting of it. The drop of blood on the cash. Sarah's phone screen provided the only light. She pushed past Emma. Emma didn't try to stop her. Just giggled. But it wasn't just her voice. It was dozens. All giggling. All the little girls who'd lived in this house. All the Emmas. The house felt different in the dark. Alive. The walls seemed to breathe. The floorboards groaned like ribs expanding. In the wallpaper, faces pushed through. Mouths open, screaming silently. The basement door was behind the kitchen. Heavy, metal, like a bunker, or a meat locker. The handle was worn smooth. By how many hands? How many desperate grips? The smell hit Sarah first. Copper, bleach, and something else. Meat, old meat, and perfume. Rotting flowers. Mrs. Ashford's perfume. Concrete steps. 23 of them. Sarah counted. The temperature dropped with each one. By the bottom she could see her breath. The walls were sweating. Or crying. Industrial freezers lined the walls. Restaurant-sized. All humming. All locked. Each had a nameplate. Brass. Engraved. Like a trophy collection. Except one. Rebecca's. Still empty. Still waiting. Inside the first freezer, wrapped in plastic. Hair. Blonde hair. A gold wedding ring on a frozen hand. Nail polish, Chanel Rouge. The same color Mrs. Ashford wore. Not Rebecca. The real Mrs. Ashford. Mr. Ashford's voice came from behind, calm and broken. She's been dead for 3 years. The thing upstairs killed her the night Emma found room 3. Killed her and took her place. Mr. Ashford stood at the bottom of the stairs. Still in his suit. Still scrolling his phone. But Sarah could see the screen now. Photos. All of Emma. The real Emma. Before. Mr. Ashford continued, the woman upstairs is something else. Something that came with the house. Something that needs feeding. It can only hold a shape for so long. Then it needs a new one. Always women. Always mothers. His thumb had worn a groove in the phone case. 3 years of scrolling. 3 years of remembering. Chapter 7. The Truth. Sarah asked with grit, "You killed your wife?" Mr. Ashford replied tiredly, "No. The house did. The thing pretending to be my wife did. 3 years ago, Emma found room 3. When she came back, she brought something with her. Inside her. It took my wife first. Wore her like a suit. Then it started bringing others." He finally looked up from his phone. His eyes were hollow. Defeated. But behind the defeat, relief. Relief that someone finally knew. Mr. Ashford continued, "It needs a specific type. Always women. Always brunettes. Always young. It keeps them alive as long as possible. Says fear seasons the meat. Makes the skin easier to wear." Sarah whispered, "You're insane." Mr. Ashford said matter-of-factly, "Check the other freezers. Check them all." Sarah didn't want to, but her hands moved anyway. The second freezer clicked open. More plastic. More hair. Red this time. But the face. Sarah had seen it on the news. Claire M. 2019. Local teacher vanishes. The third freezer. Jennifer L. 2001. Mother of 2 still missing. The fourth. Susan P. 1993. College student disappears. Each body perfectly preserved. Each face frozen in a final scream. Sarah said quickly, "Stop. Please." Mr. Ashford spoke desperately, "I tried to leave. We all did. But the house won't let us. It needs keepers. Feeders. Emma and I. We're as trapped as you are. Watch." He walked to the wall. Pressed his hand against it. His palm sizzled. Burned. The smell of cooking meat. He didn't even flinch anymore. Sarah asked in a whisper, "What about Rebecca?" The text said she fought back. Mr. Ashford said fearfully, "Rebecca's not in the freezer. She's in the walls. All the ones who fight go in the walls. Kept alive. Kept conscious. The house feeds on their terror. Drinks it like wine." The scratching grew louder. Frantic. Multiple sources now. A symphony of fingernails on wood. And voices. Muffled. Pleading. Sarah asked, "How many?" Mr. Ashford answered, 7. Maybe 8. Hard to tell anymore. Sometimes they stop screaming. Sometimes they don't. Rebecca's the newest. Still has her voice. Still has hope. That's the cruelest part. Sarah said with grit, "You're letting this happen. You're bringing women here to die." Mr. Ashford replied, broken, "You think I have a choice? You think Emma has a choice? Look at her. Really look at her. She hasn't aged in 3 years. The house keeps us alive to serve it. And if we don't," Mr. Ashford whispered, "we join them in the walls. Emma tried to run once. It put her in the walls for 3 days. When I pulled her out, she wasn't my daughter anymore. Just something wearing her shape. Something obedient." He continued, "The real Emma's still in there. Sometimes I see her. In the eyes. Screaming." Chapter 8. The Escape Attempt. Sarah ran. Up the stairs. Through the kitchen. The front door was right there. Heavy oak. Brass deadbolt. Her salvation. Locked. No keyhole on the inside. Sarah pulled. Pushed. Slammed her shoulder against it. The wood didn't even shake. Like it was part of the wall. Like it had never been a door at all. Sarah grabbed a crystal vase. Hurled it at the window. It shattered. But the window didn't. Not even a crack. The glass shards on the floor spelled out words, "No exit." Emma's voice came from the stairs, disappointed. "That was Mommy's favorite vase. The real Mommy. She screamed when we put her in the freezer." Emma stood on the stairs. The thing wearing Mrs. Ashford's face stood beside her. In the darkness, Sarah could see it clearly now. The skin didn't fit right. Like a costume stretched over something too large. The seams were showing. Splitting. Something dark leaked through. The thing spoke slowly. "You can't leave, Sarah. No one leaves. But don't worry. You'll understand soon. They all understand eventually. When we put them in the walls. When they become part of the house." Sarah whispered, "What are you?" The thing's voice became multiple tones, ancient, hungry. Always hungry. This house was built on hunger. Fed by hunger. The first family starved here. Ate each other. Their hunger never left. We are that hunger. We are the price of survival. The house shuddered. Picture frames fell. Plaster dust rained from the ceiling. And through the walls, screaming. Muffled. Desperate. Human. So many voices. More than 8. More than 20. Generations of women. All still alive. All still aware. Sarah's phone buzzed. Another message, "Join us or feed us. Choose. You have 1 hour." Sarah chose neither. Back upstairs. To her room. Her suitcase. The bottle of sleeping pills she'd brought for the insomnia. The lighter from her emergency kit. The can of hairspray. If Sarah couldn't leave, maybe she could burn it all down. Maybe she could end it. They were coming. All of them. Sarah could hear their footsteps. Slow. Patient. They had all the time in the world. Sarah didn't. The women in the walls didn't. Chapter 9. The Walls. Sarah barricaded the door. Dresser. Bed. Everything she could move. Then she went to the wall. The one adjoining room 3. The scratching was loudest here. Most desperate. Sarah whispered, "Rebecca? Can you hear me?" 3 taps. Deliberate. Human. Then more. A pattern. SOS. Then another pattern. Letters. H. E. L. P. Sarah pressed her mouth to the wall and said quickly, "I'm going to get you out. All of you." The plaster was already cracked. Old house. Old walls. But the cracks formed patterns. Words. Names. Dates. Confessions. Mary 1962, still alive. Janet 1978, can't breathe. Lisa 1995, please God. Rebecca 2023, burn it down. Sarah grabbed the metal lamp base. Swung hard. The wall crumbled. Behind it, insulation. Wiring. And spaces. Narrow spaces between the studs. Just wide enough for a body. Just narrow enough to hold one forever. An eye. Blue. Bloodshot. Blinking in the light. Crying. Sarah asked, "Rebecca?" The eye blinked once. Yes. then rolled, directing Sarah's attention down. There were more eyes, so many more, stacked like cordwood, generations of women, all conscious, all aware, all waiting. Sarah tore at the wall, fingernails breaking, blood under her nails. More plaster fell. She could see her now, Rebecca, wedged between the studs, alive, impossibly alive. The house had grown into her, roots of wood through her arms, wires wrapped around her throat, part of the structure now. Emma's voice came through, angry and inhuman. Stop. You're breaking the house. You're breaking us. They were through the barricade. Emma. The thing in Mrs. Ashford's skin. Mr. Ashford. But Sarah didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Rebecca's hand broke free. Grabbed Sarah's. Her skin was like paper. Cold. But her grip was iron. Her nails had grown into the wood. Become part of it. Rebecca whispered hoarsely, desperately, "The others. Get the others. Burn it. Burn it all. Only way." That's when Sarah saw them. In the walls. All of them. Eyes reflecting her phone light. 7 women. 8. 20. More. Packed between the studs like insulation. Breathing. Blinking. Waiting. Some had been there so long the wood had grown through them. Around them. They were load-bearing now. Part of the house's bones. The thing's voice shook the house with rage. They're mine. They're the foundation. They're the food. The house convulsed. Like a living thing in pain. Walls buckled. Ceiling cracked. And the women in the walls began to scream. All of them. All at once. A symphony of decades of terror. Sarah grabbed the hairspray and lighter. Flicked the flame to life. The thing wearing Mrs. Ashford's face lunged forward, but Rebecca's hand shot out. Grabbed its ankle. Her fingers, fused with the wood, held fast. Multiple voices whispered from the walls, "Burn it. End it. Free us." The hairspray ignited. A jet of flame hit the exposed insulation. Old. Dry. Decades of dust and despair. It caught instantly. Chapter 10. The Burning. Sarah lit the curtains first. Old fabric. Dry as kindling. The flames caught fast. Hungry. As hungry as the house itself. The thing's voice became panicked, losing form. "No. The house. You're killing the house. You're killing me." The thing wearing Mrs. Ashford's face began to melt. The skin suit sliding off like wax. What was underneath? Sarah couldn't describe it. Wouldn't describe it. Just darkness. Moving darkness. With teeth. With hunger made manifest. But Rebecca held on. Even as the fire reached her. Even as her paper skin began to smoke. She held on. Rebecca whispered, "Run. All of you. Run. We'll hold it here. We'll hold it in the fire." The fire spread. Up the walls. Across the ceiling. The house screamed. Not metaphorically. The walls themselves screamed. A sound like breaking glass and dying animals. Like hunger finally being starved. The women in the walls began pulling themselves free. Not their bodies. Those were too far gone, too much a part of the house. But something else. Something luminous. Something finally free. They rose through the smoke like reverse rain. Emma stood in the doorway. For a moment, just a moment, she looked like a real child. Scared. Small. Lost. Emma's voice became small and real. "I don't want to die. I don't want to be hungry anymore." Sarah grabbed her hand and said, "Then don't. Come with me. Choose to leave." They ran. Through the smoke. Through the flames. The house fought them. Doors slammed. Floors buckled. But the fire was stronger. The fire was hungrier. And the women in the walls were helping. Sarah could feel them. Holding doors open. Clearing paths. Their last act of defiance. Mr. Ashford followed. Stumbling. Crying. Finally free of his phone. Finally free of his vigil. The front door exploded outward. Not from them. From the heat. The pressure. The house's death throes. They tumbled onto the lawn. Gasping. Crying. Free. Behind them the house burned. And in the flames Sarah saw them. Faces. Dozens of faces. All the women who hadn't made it. All the ones from the photographs. They smiled as they burned. Finally free. Finally at rest. Emma's hand was still in Sarah's. She looked up at Sarah. Really looked at her. Her eyes were brown. Had they always been brown? No. They'd been blue. Blue like the thing that wore her. Emma said in a real exhausted voice, "My name's not Emma. It's Lucy. Lucy Morrison. I've been here since I was 3. Since my parents answered an ad for caretakers." The firefighters found them on the lawn. 9 women had made it out of the walls. 9 out of dozens. All of them scarred. All of them changed. But alive. Alive and free. They found the freezers in the basement. What was left of them? 23 bodies. Perfect matches for missing persons cases going back decades. But they never found the thing that wore Mrs. Ashford's face. Some nights Sarah dreams it's still out there. Looking for a new house. A new family. New walls to fill. New hunger to feed. Sarah kept the uniform. Doesn't know why. It hangs in her closet. Sometimes she looks at it and remembers. The marble floors. The crystal chandelier. The teddy bear with blood on its fur. The women in the walls who saved them all. And sometimes late at night, Sarah hears scratching in her walls. Checks them. Always checks them. Makes sure they're empty. Makes sure they're just walls. But Sarah lives in a new apartment now. 3rd floor. Lots of windows. Smoke detectors in every room. Fire extinguisher in the kitchen. Matches in every drawer. And she always keeps a hammer by her bed. Just in case. Sarah whispered to herself, just in case something hungry finds me again. Lucy lives with Sarah now. The courts were complicated, but who else could understand? She has nightmares. They both do. But she's learning to be a child again. To not be hungry. To not listen to the walls. The other women, the ones from the walls, they stay in touch. Support group meetings. Coffee. Survival. They don't talk about the house much. Don't need to. They all hear the same sounds at night. All check their walls. All keep hammers close. But they're alive. They're free. And that's more than the others got. More than Rebecca got. She held on until the end. Held the thing in place while the house burned. A hero in melted skin and fused wood. They built a parking lot where the house stood. Concrete and asphalt. Nothing can grow there. Nothing wants to. Sometimes people report strange sounds. Scratching. Crying. Hungry sounds. But no one stays long enough to listen. No one ever stays. A news anchor spoke in a professional voice. In other news, the Ashford mansion fire investigation has been closed after 18 months. 9 women were rescued from what investigators describe as the most disturbing crime scene in state history. The property owner, Richard Ashford, was cleared of charges due to what prosecutors called extraordinary circumstances. The lot remains vacant. The city council voted unanimously against any future development. When asked why, council member Patricia Webb simply stated, "Some ground is better left undisturbed." This has been Channel 7 News. Multiple voices whispered together, still here, still hungry, still waiting.